The princess's ship was about to dock at the port of Bari. It was expected that provisions and some goods needed for the rest of the journey would be brought on board here. Zoe Porphyrogenita, daughter of Emperor Constantine VIII, eagerly anticipated the chance to stroll along the shore. What a relief after the rocking of the ship! She had grown weary from the long voyage, which was supposed to culminate in a splendid wedding. The most beautiful princess in the Christian world was preparing to marry Otto III, the Holy Roman Emperor, known as the Wonder of the World. The marriage Zoe had been waiting for was planned for the summer of the year 1002. This union would unite the children of two empires, the Byzantine, to which Zoe belonged, and the Holy Roman, of which Otto III was a scion. By then, the groom would have turned 22, and the bride the same. Both were beautiful, young, and exceptionally well-educated. What a glorious future they seemed to have ahead. Otto III spent much of his time in Rome, where he had built a magnificent palace for himself. There, he received envoys from Poland, Bohemia, Hungary, the northern provinces, and Byzantium. With the young emperor's support, papal legates crowned the first Christian ruler of Hungary, Stephen I. Legend has it that the king lacked a crown for the ceremony, so Otto ordered one to be made quickly and at his own expense. Otto had inherited the imperial title at a young age, so until he came of age, state affairs were managed by his grandmother and mother, the latter, incidentally, also a Byzantine princess, Theophanu. But as he matured, Otto took firm, and sometimes overly harsh, control of his vast empire. For several years, he was aided by his sister Sophia. Slightly older than him, she was ambitious, intelligent, and her advice was invaluable to Otto. But then her name disappeared from official records. Princess Sophia had retired to a convent. Whether her relationship with her brother soured over power struggles or she willingly renounced worldly affairs remains unclear. The young emperor needed support. He needed a wife. Even before Sophia's departure, the idea of a Byzantine marriage had been floated. Emperor Constantine VIII, Otto's relative, had several daughters. It was to him that an embassy from Rome was sent. But this was in the year 996, and the plan fell through. The princesses were still too young for marriage. However, Otto's envoys had a chance to observe the Byzantine heirs. The eldest, Eudokia, did not appeal to them. Her face was scarred by smallpox. Another girl seemed rather plain. But Zoe Porphyrogenita promised to grow into a true beauty. After waiting nearly 5 years, Otto sent envoys to Constantinople once more. Lavish gifts were prepared for all members of Emperor Constantine's family, but the most precious jewels and exquisite fabrics were reserved for Princess Zoe. Consent was given, and the departure date was set. Constantinople was determined not to be outdone. Zoe Porphyrogenita was sent westward with equally luxurious gifts for Otto and Sophia. It was decided that the betrothal would take place in March of the year 1002, with the wedding to follow later that summer. The ceremony was planned to be grand, dazzling. In fact, it was to be attended by the cream of European society. No contemporary portraits of Zoe survive today, only a few mosaics that offer a vague impression of the Porphyrogenita princess's beauty. The ships had just reached Bari when devastating news arrived. Emperor Otto III had died suddenly. Some said the young ruler had succumbed to malaria, others that he had been poisoned by his mistress, a woman named Stefania, who opposed his decision to marry another. Zoe Porphyrogenita stood on the ship, unsure of what to do. Tears welled up in her eyes. The young girl had been so looking forward to her wedding. Throughout the voyage, she had imagined Otto, asking the envoys who had come to Constantinople for her endless questions about him. But Zoe was not in a position to make decisions on her own. On the orders of her Byzantine escorts, the ships turned back from Bari. Otto III, known as Mirabilia Mundi, the Wonder of the World, was buried on Easter. His would-be bride, Princess Zoe, returned to her homeland. Mourning her fiancé, she had no idea that a long, brilliant, and extraordinary life awaited her. 3 marriages and the title of Empress. For Byzantium, she herself would become a wonder. But that is another story entirely. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe, like, and thank you for your comments.